podcasting has grown. I mean, just 5 years ago, when we started getting into podcasting in a big way, it was about 20% of Americans that really knew what podcasting was. And today it's about 50%.
I know there was news that you just distributed $100 million in 1 quarter to creators, and this has become such an important space for podcasters, obviously musicians, and I'm just curious to get your take why you think creators are so drawn to Spotify and how you've created that flywheel that's really kept them coming.
You know, I think it really starts where we started the company and the ethos of the company. So we started the company back in 2006, and it was really based on this simple idea. We wanted to give consumers what they wanted, which is whatever thing they were interested in at the moment of their time, and to soundtrack their life. And creators an ability to connect with an audience, grow that audience, and monetize. Now we have more employees in the US than we have anywhere else in the world. In fact, I think we have people in like 43 states in America.
Wow. So. Wow, and 17 floors here in the beautiful World Trade Center. Despite the fact that people now have the attention span of a goldfish, people still want to listen to 4-hour podcasts, which I think if somebody had told me that years ago, I'd be like, no way. Do you think that there is an appetite for even longer content? Like, what do you see coming next?
So what's interesting for me is it's the bifurcation, right? You know, you both have more shorter form content than ever before. But what's really cool about the internet is it also is a place for niches. And so what may seem very, very small in one place, because it's now on a global scale, in the case of Spotify in 183 countries around the world, that enables something that may seem quite small to actually be very, very big on a global basis. I think that there's so much we can do and that we haven't seen yet in terms of exposing these types of things. And that means, for instance, if it is someone that has a passion about something, a deep conversation about a particular topic, even though it may be 3 or 4 or 5 hours, sometimes that can be reached by millions of people around the world that share that interest. So long-form content is here to stay, short-form content is here to stay. The most important thing we can do, however, is to package that content in ways that people find it appealing and want to engage with it. If we look at something like AI, you know, we're just in the early days for this, but imagine if you're a creator and you're the world expert at something, you know, it could be gardening or whatever, but you happen to be Indonesian. Today there's a language barrier, and it will be very hard if you don't know English to be able to get to a world stage and be able to express your knowledge and skill. But with AI, it might be possible in the future where you speak in your native language, and the AI will understand it and will actually real-time translate that to whatever the language is of the person listening or watching you. And I would hear it in this person's voice, but it's like that person spoke English. Now, what will that do to in the future? What would that do to creativity? What would that do to knowledge sharing? I think we're just in the very early innings of figuring that out.
I want to talk a bit about the role that you guys have really played in free speech and distribution, because there was a lot of censorship on a lot of tech platforms, and I think you were very unique in sort of not succumbing to that, and you had voices who at the time were sort of slammed as controversial, like Joe Rogan. What made you decide to say, no, we really want to stand with him and continue to work with him?
Well, I think we approached this that we fundamentally believe that there should be more debates and more discussions in the world, because that will advance society forward.
It's interesting that sort of Americans like to think that that's our entire thing is free speech, and yet a lot of the American tech companies sort of didn't follow through on that. Would you say free speech is one of your key values at Spotify?
Well, I would say having more debate and more conversation is our core value. For me, this is an American thing. This is like something we do everywhere in the world. We take our role incredibly serious about having this platform where we have, you know, over 20 million creators.
Yeah.
And we don't know what all of these people are saying or thinking, but we want to enable more voices. We want to enable more artistic expression. We want to enable more conversations. And so we have these this view, not just in the US, but really globally, where we engage with governments around the world on this, where we're trying to advocate having more debate, having more voices, fundamentally being a very positive thing to move us forward.
Another very interesting thing about Spotify is that as everyone was moving to Silicon Valley, you moved to New York City. Why did you want New York to be your US home?
Yeah, well, the honest truth is, you know, I started Spotify when I was 23. And so a single guy in my 20s, you know, New York was just a much more fun place to be than Silicon Valley. But on top of that, obviously, a lot of the music industry was either in New York or LA. And so for me, because I loved New York, I loved the hustle and bustle, the city that never sleeps, I loved the nightlife, as crazy as it sounds, there was no great strategy. It just turned out to be an amazing place to build a company, but it was totally the right thing for Spotify.